Well, the Bishop City Council is inviting the community to participate in a community workshop coming up this Wednesday, May 10th. It's going to be in the Executive Conference Room, Bishop City Hall, 4 to 7 p.m. It's going to help the City of Bishop draft a values statement reflective of the Bishop community. Press release says the Bishop City Council considered preparation of a values statement at their meeting on April 10th after several members of the community attended previous meetings requesting the Bishop City Council adopt a statement in essence stating all people are welcome. Council hopes that a workshop will be a more welcoming environment for a broader demographic of the community to give their input on a shared value statement representing the community. Workshop will include interactive stations focusing on the importance of a value statement, major themes, and the opportunity to draft a personal version for consideration by the Bishop City Council for adoption. Press release notes everyone's encouraged to come by Wednesday, 4 to 7 p.m. to share their vision of Bishop values as a community. Well, Deb Murphy filed this story for Sierra Wave Media. City of Bishop and community stakeholders put together an economic development element update to the general plan 2 years ago, focusing on ambitious goals to solve some of the issues of a rural community with unique constraints. An Environmental Protection Agency Sustainable Communities grant awarded last year may go a long way to make those goals achievable. At last Wednesday evening's community workshop, the city brought together area residents and the first phase of consultants, Renaissance Planning, well as EPA staffers in a series of traditional planning exercises to identify a future vision for Bishop and the major challenges and opportunities. Now, in the future, the grant will also bring governmental agencies with technical assistance and expertise relevant to Bishop, the Federal Department of Agriculture's Rural Economic Development, the Small Business Development Center, and Office of Housing and Community Development. Now, Kate Ames, the Renaissance Vice President, defined the company's role as helping the city develop strategy and action plans for both quick fixes and long-term action items toward revitalizing the downtown area, solving the housing shortage.
You're doing here tonight. This is a convening opportunity for you all at the local level to kind of talk about issues and opportunities relative to growth and development in your community. And through that process, we'll present some ideas on best practices, and then you all will decide what of those best practices make sense for us, what ideas maybe can we originally come up with for ourselves to promote kind of development and growth in the community.
Now, by the very geography of Bishop, landlocked by public lands, Bishop has already achieved some of the goals of smart growth. Ames told approximately 70 attendees, Bishop is walkable, compact, with mixed-use places. Consultants met with Bishop City staff and other stakeholders then on Thursday to go over community input and begin the process of developing strategies to achieve the goals identified by community members. Well, Deb Murphy also filed this story. With negotiations still deadlocked, Inyo County Employees Association members held a peaceful picket at the county's administrative offices on May Street in Bishop recently. Now, this issue is as much about respect and being valued. This according to negotiation team member Chris Jackson. The union, Local 325 of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, has dropped the cost of living increase request from 4% to 2%. County came up from a 0.5% increase for 2 years to a 1% bump in the third year to a 1% COLA for 2 years and 2% in the third, and that's where it still stands. Now, during a public meeting held last month, labor economist Gary Storrs from AFSCME's Washington, D.C. headquarters laid out Inyo's budget numbers, making a compelling argument the county has a lot of fiscal flexibility. His analysis of the county's audited financial statement indicated Inyo's unassigned funds were 40% of annual expenditures at the end of the fiscal year 2015, far above the recommended 17% level. That percent jumped above 40% after the 2016 audit, which was not available prior to the union's April 10th meeting. Now, at a subsequent Inyo County Board of Supervisors meeting, Auditor Controller Amy Shepard clarified those numbers during her presentation of the 2016 audited statement. That percentage of unassigned, unrestricted rainy day, or whatever you want to call it, funds hovers around 6% of general fund expenditures. What Shepherd focuses on are monies not allocated for specific programs, but allocated to specific departments. Those funds end up in the county's unassigned category. In an interview, Shepherd explained moving money around still creates a hole that has to eventually be filled. Now, in addition, Inyo County is looking at radical increases in CalPERS, the state's public employee retirement system. Those costs. The reason for the increases is a whole other story, but the first payment due in July represents a $1.4 million increase, ballooning to $5.6 million bump in 2021. Those payments go on for the next 20 years in the face of what could be considered fairly static revenues. Economist Storrs is sticking to his analysis. In my view, and in the view of groups like the Government Finance Officers Association, it is not necessarily only unassigned funds that are contingency funds. The broader universe of unrestricted funds could also be said to be contingency or rainy day funds. And again, that was from Storrs in an email. Now, from union members' viewpoints, they are the front line for the county, the checkers at Vons, the clerks at Pennies, the employees who serve the public, not the administrators who set policy. According to Jane McDonald, the Eastern Sierra rep for AFSCME, the difference between the county's 1% offer and the Inyo County Employees Association 2% request is $187,000 a year. Thank Deb Murphy for those stories. Also, the Inyo National Forest is closing the Mammoth Stamp Mill site due to elevated levels of metals that were determined to pose a risk to human health and the environment. Arsenic, lead, mercury, and others were identified as the primary chemicals of concern. The U.S. Forest Service completed a preliminary assessment site inspection at the Mammoth Mill site last year to evaluate whether historic mining activity impacted the surrounding environment. The agency initiated the PASI under the Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act, that's CERCLA, in response to the results of the initial investigations back from 2012 to 2014, which indicated metals were present in site soil at elevated concentrations. Cleanup at the site is anticipated to begin as soon as the snow melts sufficiently to allow site access by heavy equipment, estimated to be about mid-June. Now, a public meeting is scheduled for a week from today, May 15th, 5 to 7 p.m. at the auditorium at the Mammoth Lakes Welcome Center to share and discuss the findings and to talk through concerns and questions. We'll be back with a weather report.